Thank you for the invitation. It's great to be here today. I'm the managing director of the German AI Association. Basically, what we do, we're the biggest and largest company network of 250 AI startups now in Germany and have been established 2 years ago. So I've been in place with my office as managing director since May, so we're all still building up, but we're involving a lot politically, that just as a background. And I would like to start with telling you a story. Imagine a startup, let's call it Mobi, that is in the field of future mobility, and they created a device for automated driving. So what they do is they have a little device that you can plug into every car, and it drives automatically, autonomously. So to improve and further develop this software, the startup would use a huge amount of data that has to be processed. So they would have to place up several supercomputers that they would need, and additional staff that would work 24/7 just to make this possible. But don't forget, Mobi is a software startup, and now why should they become experts in hardware? If they would do, it's just too difficult to buy and maintain their own hardware, and they would go bankrupt immediately. So it's just too difficult and costly. They would have to employ a lot of staff. They would have to look after the hardware and so on. It's too difficult. So what a lot of AI companies are doing, they're using cloud technology. Instead of their own supercomputers, they use existing ones that are more secure and up-to-date and also highly sophisticated. And many software companies only actually exist and came into existence because they use the state-of-the-art hardware without having to acquire their own supercomputers. And thus, they're able to focus on their software, on their product from the beginning on, and that's really important. However, what we're seeing, the cloud infrastructure that is currently available, they're all from the USA that are being used. So the European alternative at the moment is really missing. And the data of the European countries, while they're using US tech companies and cloud infrastructure, is going to the US and is being processed there. So we are really helping to build up the monopoly and improve the technology of these tech companies. And that's a problem, because from a strategic point of view, that is highly problematic. The European Union is currently becoming more and more dependent on these US tech companies, and we don't really have any regulatory control whatsoever on how our data is being processed. And without this data, we're also not able to become an AI superpower, because as we just noted, AI is basically especially dependent on big data. So we are currently accelerating the role of US companies in tech. There is a project, you probably know it, the German-French project Gaia-X, that could be the solution, but only if it becomes more than a European infrastructure, because what makes US clouds really successful at the moment are APIs and software as a service solutions that companies can readily use. And so besides the data storage and processing, they have a whole portfolio of microservices that companies can tap into. So this is basically what Gaia-X also has to offer. It has to become more than just the basic infrastructure for companies to switch and see Gaia-X really as an alternative. And that's where we as a German AI Association also come in. We're pushing for this politically so that the brightest minds really decide to stay here and fund their company and also to teach research, because that's important for us to really become a player on an international level when it comes to AI. So thank you.